insanely scary parasitization of the human body. We have a lot of things living on and in us. The vast majority of the organic entities that live on or in us are totally normal as well as fit as a fiddle too. From the microbes and parasites that harp on our skin to the microflora that call our gut home, a large portion of these animals really assist us with securing ourselves, to endure, and to play out the essential fundamental real elements of the human life form. At times, we're helped to remember the harm that should be possible by something filling in our bodies, similar to when a frightening tissue-eating microorganism chooses to consume us. Different occasions, little, inconspicuous living beings can seize our psyches and modify our practices and even our discernments. Yet, past the typical microbes, now and then the living beings that develop on or in us are really noticeable, or possibly their belongings are. Here are 10 instances of pervasions that really occurred inside individuals' bodies. Number 1. The hand. Barnacles are shellfish that occupy marine waters. Around 850 types of barnacles are generally stationary and don't do much by any means. Think about the benevolence you see appended to the bodies of boats. These barnacles contain an amazingly solid cement glue that they use, practically like concrete, to append themselves to things so that it requires huge power to eliminate them. Different types of barnacles are interior parasites that contaminate different scavengers and can truly compromise sea life now and again. A man named Chris Johnson would one day wind up seeing a specialist about a peculiar development in his grasp that had become genuinely concerning. Not understanding what the development was, the specialists took tests, which they tried. They never expected that they would discover barnacles becoming inside the man's hand, yet that is actually what occurred. Both the specialists and Johnson himself were alarmed. Number 2. The lung. In another totally bonkers instance of living things developing inside somebody, a Boston man named Ron Svaden was having some serious chest issues in 2010. Previously experiencing emphysema, Ron surrendered to his destiny, accepting that he had disease. When one of his lungs fell, however, enough was sufficient, and Ron went in to see the specialists to determine him to have the fitting cellular breakdown in the lungs. In any case, that isn't what occurred. Specialists took the proper X-beams and in fact found a development inside Mr. Svaden's lung, yet it wasn't a cluster of malignant cells like they were expecting, it was the modest beginnings of a pea plant. Months earlier, Ron had been eating, specialists theorized, when he probably brought a pea down some unacceptable cylinder and into his lung. The torment that followed was from the pea being held up inside his lung. However, it didn't stop there. The pea started to grow and really develop, pervading within Mr. Svaden's body. Number 3. Maggots. Following up is an amazingly strange instance of slimy parasite invasion, one that wound up being undoubtedly something worth being thankful for. Pham Quang Lin was a 28-year-old worker functioning as a visitor laborer in Malaysia, outside of his local Vietnam, when an iron bar tumbled off a structure and onto his head in 2015. Luckily, Lin endured the injury, in any event for the time being, because of medical procedure and a titanium plate that specialists had the option to embed into his head. However, the story doesn't end there. Lin was in torment, and the site where the plate was embedded was expanding and for the most part not looking great. Notwithstanding, thinking it just a minor disease, he didn't look for treatment. His family chose to investigate, and that is the point at which they found live worms destroying Lin's head. In a bizarre curve, while the man did, indeed, have a parasite invasion in his mind, he likewise had a terrible disease, the sort that eats substance, prompting corruption of the skin cells, which can eventually be deadly. However, Pham Quang Lin endured adequately long to have the site treated on the grounds that the parasites were consuming the necrotic tissue that created from the contamination, which implies the worm pervasion at last saved the man's life. Discussion about nauseating karma. If you like what you see, please like, share and subscribe to the channel. Number 4. Cockroach. Did you realize that occasionally, cockroaches really slither inside individuals? They do, and the ear is a presumable spot of passage. At the point when cockroaches are apprehensive, Ordinarily if climate changes or an apparent hunter, they cover up, here and there inside your ear opening. They make themselves at home, and significantly more startlingly, once in a while, they'll pick your ear as an ideal spot to lay their eggs. The way that they for the most part can just go ahead and not in reverse implies that they presumably won't come out all alone. In one unnerving circumstance, a lady from Florida named Katie Holly was resting one night in 2018 when she felt something apparently chilly slide into her left ear waterway. Endeavoring to tackle the issue and thinking the article was lifeless, she put a Q-tip into her ear and attempted to sort out what it was, and that is the point at which she felt it move. That is when things got significantly more terrible. She eliminated the Q-tip to discover what had all the earmarks of being legs on it. It would take Katie an entire 9 days to get each bit of the insect out of her ear. She at first went to the trauma center, where a large portion of the cockroach was taken out. However, then 7 days passed by, and something simply wasn't exactly directly with her ear. Following an awkward few days, she chose to circle back to her PCP, who peered inside her ear, just to discover a greater amount of the insect. Her primary care physician at that point eliminated the rest of her bad dream was at long last finished. Number 5. Super gonorrhea. Simply the name itself sounds totally alarming. Super gonorrhea. Super gonorrhea is a very antitoxin-safe strain of the normal gonorrhea bacterium which is presently untreatable and spreading far and wide gradually. Dissimilar to some other STIs, super gonorrhea is additionally communicable through oral sex, making it a bacterium that is moderately pioneering. In what has been known as the most pessimistic scenario of super gonorrhea up until now, a British man got the bacterium subsequent to laying down with a lady while out traveling to Southeast Asia in 2018. It was terrible to the point that UK well-being authorities endeavoured to find his other sex accomplices themselves to caution them. Anti-infection agents neglected to treat the illness, driving authorities to stress what lies later on with regards to battling these critters that may swarm and parasitize us. The total failure to treat this present man's case with the go-to antitoxins was a first.